Hello and welcome to another special edition of The Couch as we continue our build-up to the Zifa Exco elections slated for 25 January 2025. And the big question we've been asking and the conversations we've been having with the different aspiring candidates is, are they the right man to lead Zimbabwean football going forward? Obviously, Zimbabwean football coming from a dark period following that Zifa ban by FIFA, and that saw the Zifa Normalization Committee being put in place. We've had some joy recently with the Warriors qualifying for the AFCON finals in Morocco next year. But by the time they go to Morocco, we will most likely have a new leader at the helm of Zifa. This program proudly brought to you by AfricaBet, our partners. And joining me as a member of the Couch Squad, fellow Jono, Veronica Gwasa. Veronica, the election series continues. I was a bit disappointed. Pakapera Bora Bachibuku. I was like, Twitter say, but my election I'm not going to.
Yeah, I think especially time Tagara from the ban up to the normalization committee, everyone is so eager. They need a new face in there and they need someone who's going to hit the ground running. Remember, we have the AFCON, so obviously, so I think everyone is actually anticipating to see what's going to happen.
Right, so for this edition of this Zifa election series, we're joined by a man who's not new to football. He's got a very rich history. I'm going to have to ask him to maybe give us what he wants us to call him, because I know he's an honorable member of parliament for Brewa West. He's the president for Caps United, the Premier Soccer League chairman. We can call him Farai Jere as well. Thank you for joining us on this Zifa election series. How do we address you? You're a man of many hats. You're a businessman as well.
Oh, yes. I know whatever way you want to call me, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for inviting me to this program, Teach and Veronica. Thank you so much. You can call me whatever name you want to call me.
You know what? For the purposes of this program, I'm going to call you aspiring Zifa president, Farai Jere.
That's perfectly well. That's what it is.
That's what it is. And
yeah.
Let's start there. I mean, you've been very active in football at club level with your Caps United and at the helm of Top Flight, the Premier Soccer League. What informed the decision now to say, you know what, I want to then become the leader of Zifa as the Zifa president? How did you come up to that decision?
Thank you so much, Atish. I looked at quite a lot of things, and then I said to myself, I think this is the right time for me to come in as the president of the Zifa. My history, the history and the experience that I've accumulated over a period of time. When I was a supporter, when I was supporting Caps United, I think our fans, they need to know that history. It's very important, even those who will be voting. I was a staunch supporter of Caps United. I was also a sponsor of Caps United, but I was sponsoring about 6 players who were on a payroll at my company. Your Zifa Chimeta, your David Senku, they were part of that, Lloyd Chitembwe, and the 3 other players. In 2004, the president then, Mr. Twine Piri, heard about the work which I was doing as a supporter. I was actually invited to come into the Caps United. That was in late 2004. Willard Manyengavana, may he so rest in peace. He was the team manager then. I came in with Mr. Piri. He had a vision for the team and he wanted me to be part of it, and he wanted me to be the team manager for the team. So towards the end of 2004, preparing for 2005, I came into the mainstream of football administration as the team manager. I took the team, the Caps United team, to UK. If you remember that story.
Oh, we know it.
Exactly.
All about it.
Of course, yes. Where I went with the team, and Islanders as well were invited to UK to play some friendly matches there. And we lost all the players. That was in 2005. If you remember very well, that trailblazing Caps United, they were leading the log by more than 20 points by the time we went to the UK. That's how good that team was. All the players were left there, but we had a very, very, very good junior policy. That's when the Washington Pakamisas and your Queens Antipas came into the fold. I find as youngsters, they didn't have experience. We started losing a lot of matches. And we won the league match on the last day of the season. It's quite a historic moment, which a lot of you guys you might still remember. We played Black Rhinos, who were our boogie side, and Dynamos were playing Masvingo United. And if Dynamos were to lose that match, they were going to be relegated. And we needed to win the match or lose that match and still win the league after Dynamos has won. So our match was played earlier. We had to wait for what was happening when we lost 3-0 to Black Rhinos, a hat-trick by Lazarus Mwoni by that time. And we lost it by 3-0, we had to wait. In the 10 minutes of that match, Dynamo scored a screamer, which was a winning goal, and they were tied at 1-1, and Masvingo United on top. So this is the history, where I came from. People, they need to know the experience.
More than 20 years in the game.
It's more than 20 years in the game. 20 years of experience in the game. We moved on with Twan Piri as the president of the team, and then he gave me 25% shareholding after the effort that I was putting. Then later on 40%, and then in 2015, Mr. Piri then decided to sell the team to me at 60% shareholding, and Namodu Disani holds 40% of the team. Interestingly, in 2016, we won the league championship. We brought in Lloyd Chitembwe to be the coach of the team. We won the league championship. 2017, we went to the Champions League. Where we were knocked out, where we actually went to the group stage of the Champions League for the first time. So it's an achievement in the history of Cape United. This was the first team, the 2017 edition. We went to the group stage of the Champions League. After dismissing in the preliminary round the likes of TP Mazembe, it was quite strategic. So this is the experience which I want to bring into football. It's very interesting.
And that's why maybe I want to sort of interject. Obviously, your storied history as a supporter first, team manager, coming to become a part owner, and now the president. How do you think then, maybe specifically to your vision of being the Zifa president, what does that experience leading a club as esteemed as Cape United, you know, that's got a very rich history in this country, like you say, did well in the CAF Champions League, that experience, how do you translate that into Zifa, which is not just about Cape United? Because somebody might be watching this and be like, you know, this way Cape's getting, it's like, how does that experience that you have as Cape's president, how are you going to use that when you become Zifa president?
Okay. No, thank you so much. If you had actually given me time to finish the history, you are going to see where the experience, that experience, including other experiences, it's an accumulation of experiences.
Yes.
We then make what is going to be a success story for Zifa, and I was almost there.
Yeah.
Then in 2017, we went to the group stage of the Champions League, where we beat TP Mazembe by 11 o'clock a.m. We were playing them a match on a Saturday. By 11 o'clock, we were in the country. We're here. We had to charter a plane. We got there. And I think the TP Mazembe thought we were not going to make it. In the first 5 minutes of the match, we scored because we had actually made a research about what is required when you get there. So we really wanted to use that. So we flew in, both the 600-kilometer direct flight, and we silenced the whole ground, and the rest is history. We eliminated them. We went to the group stage where we had the giants like ASM, Auga, Zamalek, and all those, they fall to the Cape United of that time. So we are now talking to something slowly which is similar to the national team, to Zifa, what is expected of you at that level. In 2019, we came back We lost the league championship on the last day. That 2017, that's when I was voted the chairman of the Premier Soccer League, which is a position which is more similar to what we are talking about here in terms of the structures and the system. That's why I had to stop you and say, no, I'm getting there for you to see all these experiences.
It's time to sell the dream, so
exactly.
it's okay. Yeah.
And see that. So 2017, when I came to the Premier Soccer League, you can agree with me, there was a lot of instability. Some chairpersons failed to finish their term, and someone had to come in. I brought in a lot of stability to the Premier Soccer League through the system which I need to apply to the Zifa board. What I did is I looked at the whole system and see where the other guys failing. So, a good leader acknowledges the good things that were done by other people. It's very important. It shows that you've made your research and you just want to come in and fill in the gaps and take on the good things that have been done. That is very important. Why am I saying this? I'm surprised to hear a lot of people saying nothing was happening to our football. That alone is a failure. Because if you say nothing was happening when football was being played in this country, it shows that you've got a problem as a leader. A lot was being done, but more still needs to be done. Right. I brought a lot of stability due to the system which we introduced. Because I had to make the governors in the Premier Soccer League to work for the league. I'm the first chairman of the Premier Soccer League in order to be a signatory to the account of the Premier Soccer League.
Was that a deliberate decision?
Yes, through corporate governance. And because what I did is I said, well, the chief executive officer, you are going to be a signatory, and the another signatory, it was the chairman of the finance committee. So I want you to see where we are going. It's very important. This is a very important information. The chairman, and obviously you've got your finance guy, the finance manager, the FD for the league. So these are the signatories who run the affairs of the league. Then what I did is, we have got the standing committees in the Premier Soccer League, which are there, which are embedded in there, which is the structure of the league. It's already known. We have got the standing committees. I had to put those standing committees to work. Right now, if you didn't know, the Premier Soccer League, they bought 1.4 hectares of land through my leadership, which is going to be the first asset of the league since its formation. We are going to unveil it on the 19th of this month. All the governors are coming. It's 1.4 hectares. We are going to have our offices. We are going to have a football pitch there, flags of all the clubs, and we're also going to have an office for women football there. It's going to be a huge thing. So you guys are also invited officially on the 19th to come to that place. But there's something interesting which I want to bring to Zifa, which I want you to know. I've never been to that piece of land.
Okay.
The piece of land was bought through the committee which was selected, which was being led by Mr. Ndumera from Tel 1, Masimba Chihuahua, Kenny Ndeveles, the CEO. The only time I put my hand on that piece of land is when I was signing the agreement of sale. Why? As a leader, you don't delegate responsibility. That's why you're accountable for everything. So these guys, they were giving me update every day, involved, being part of it, being part of the whole system.
So working. They were doing their groundwork, but they would report to you?
No, you give them direction.
Yeah,
this is what you want, and you give them timelines. And the rest is history. With a piece of land, title deeds, you are going to see it on the 19th of this month.
Veronica, I'll bring you in. I know as a journalist you cover football, the Premier Soccer League. He's been at the helm since 2017, and as we start this election series specifically for him, I think he's leveraged not only into his ownership of Caps United, but even into his work as the PSL chairman. Are you happy with what he has done at the PSL so far since 2017? I mean, he's talked a good game, but as somebody who's been covering the league, are you happy with what he has done with the Premier Soccer League?
Yeah, to a larger extent, I can safely say I'm happy because looking at how things have been going previously, even prior 2017, then going on to the ban, obviously a lot was disturbed. And it's actually a miracle that we have a national team that managed to qualify for the AFCON, which shows that our league is very active right now. So I think those are some of the things that we also need to put into perspective. Yes, obviously, there is a lot that still needs to be done. But for those few things that have been done already, I think that's an achievement. And for us to have a piece of land where we are going to have Zifa offices, where we are going to have a football PSL offices, where we are going to have a football pitch, I think that's a milestone for us. And I think it's a good starting point for us maybe to then go on to say, if we have a president who has such a vision, who won't understand the essence of having our own facilities, maybe we are also going to have a situation whereby international games are going to return into Zimbabwe again.
And I was hoping you would land there. That's exactly where I want to take you next. I'm very impressed with what you said about the piece of land and how you were able to go about the process. We saw the Warriors qualify for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco. Should you win the presidency come January 25, you'll probably be amongst the delegates at those finals. But one of the most frustrating things as a football fan, which is where you started, right, is that we didn't get an opportunity to watch the Warriors in our own backyard. We had to go to Rwanda, we had to go to South Africa. In terms of infrastructure development, I also know you're a member of parliament in government. You're part of that parliamentary portfolio committee on sport. What is your plan, should you become Zifa president, in terms of solving this infrastructure development crisis that we have in our football? Because for a lot of fans, you can talk about all this, I'm delegating this, I've got the standing committee, but as long as they can't go to the National Sports Stadium, they might think you're not doing a good job.
No, very, very true. Maybe for now, you see, I'm selling my vision to people. Maybe if you may allow me to park that question, I'll come to it. I'll come to that question, yes. Because what I want is, I want the whole interview to be progressive so that people see where exactly we want to go. And that the question which you've just asked me is going to be answered in the process, okay. Yes, of the National Sports Stadium. It's given. You know the noise that we've been making in Parliament to make sure that National Sports Stadium comes back. It's there. It's on record, and the government, the commitment of the government under President Idi Mnangagwa, you can actually see there's a committee which was recently set to look at the sporting infrastructure, which set yesterday to look at it, which was being led by the Minister of Local Government, and the National Sports Stadium, the work which is being done there. It's actually even on top of the priority from the minister. Maybe if I can clear this off the way. The Minister of Finance he came to Parliament and gave a ministerial statement that we've got a special fund for this. And as we were reviewing the budget, there's specific 189 million which was put by the Ministry of Finance. And it's very clear that this one is for the National Sports Stadium. They've got a partner. You saw the package seats coming in. So the commitment and what is happening is there for everyone to see that the hope is there. We are hoping that by March next year, that's when we are going to have our next home match here in Zimbabwe. We are hoping that we'll be playing that match back home, which is a commitment which the ministry was giving this morning when we were discussing about the budgets. So maybe we have cleared that.
No, but just before we leave, not to maybe to take away the focus and not say necessarily the National Sports Stadium, but when you are Zifa president, how much of a role do you want Zifa as the football governing body to play in terms of whether it's engaging government on issues around infrastructure, or do you want Zifa to have its own stadium? Do you want the clubs like yourselves, like Cape United, to have their own stadium? What's your vision in regards to that? Without maybe if I understand your position, unique position as a member of parliament and also a football owner, but I'm trying to say in terms of the vision that you want in terms of infrastructure development. Do you want it to be club owners like yourselves who are building stadiums? Do you want it to be Zifa who's building stadiums? Or do you want us to just wait on the government to say, you know what, guys, this is the stadium we have for you?
Oh, yes. I think this is why I was saying the commitment is already there from the government side to make sure that the infrastructure, I think you saw even the Vice President visiting Rufaro Stadium and the Babafield Stadium, Evamo Hadi. He visited those two stadiums and he made it very clear that it is the government commitment that we are going to have so many facilities to have our people play football. If you look at an infrastructure like a stadium, it's a bonus to have clubs in their personal capacities having their own stadiums. Rather, I would want to see our teams having clubhouses and the training facilities, because it's a huge financial cost to put on a club which is supposed to be focusing on football development. If you look at how South Africa, 2010 helped them. All those stadiums were built by the government of South Africa, and they were then given to various clubs in each and every area. And that actually has helped a lot to the growth of South African football. But infrastructure development is always key. So it's a multifaceted approach. The local councils have got also a role. If you look at Europe, the Manchester City Stadium belongs to a council, right? And they list them. Liverpool, your Allianz Arena, all these are owned by councils. So it's going to be an approach where we are going to have all the stakeholders to say, no, we want to concentrate on building the structures to make sure that our football is played, provide the facilities, as also provided by the statutes. Don't forget that if you look at the SRC Act, it speaks about SRC is responsible for providing the sporting facilities, which is the government. So if someone comes in and says, no, we have got money to build a stadium, what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. But the first step, let's start with the small steps, is to have our clubs, which is what we are pushing. Have their sporting, their sporting clubs, which they can then have to be self-contained, where they will be training and to have all the other activities done there, and we start unlocking value.
So, this is a conversation we'll continue. We'll just take a short break. We'll come back. We'll get to hear more from Farai Jere in terms of what his vision for our football is. He's a man who's ingrained in the football, passionate about it, and Veronica, who ask him a lot of tough questions, because at the end of the day, the people that vote, the owners of the game, just want to know that you are the right person to lead our football nation. We'll be back shortly after this.
Passing, Billiard knocks it to Pangura! Rocket!
Looking for a way through, and here.
Chance here!
Join the excitement of every goal in Zimbabwe's Premier Soccer League. Log on to ZTN's catch-up service at www.ztn.co.zw. Watch your favorite football stars. Experience every key moment on the field of play with the ZTN catch-up. Nakirwa ne catch-up. Wona ipapo ipapo. Konapo konapo.
Right, you're still watching the special edition of The Couch as we continue our Zifa election series, building up to the 2025 Zifa Executive Committee elections, which will be held on the 25th of January 2025. They'll be right here in the capital, Harare. And joining us on the show today is aspiring Zifa President Farai Jere, is a man who owns Caps United, is also the Premier Soccer League chairman, as well as a member of Parliament for Morewa East. Before in that first segment, we talked about your history in football and focused on the job you've been doing with the Premier Soccer League. That's what's in the past. You even highlighted what you are still yet to do with that piece of land that you bought that you're unveiling on the 19th. But I want to talk about the aspiration for Zifa President. What are some of the things? You've been part of the game. PSL is an affiliate of Zifa. Caps United is affected by whatever decisions Zifa makes. What are some of the things that you're hoping to change should you be given the hot seat come the 25th of January 2025?
Thank you so much, Tish. Veronica. Actually, that is going to show you that I'm the right candidate for this position, because the approach is going to be different, and you will see the changes which I'm going to make. The changes which I'm going to make, they are a result of thorough research, a lot of considerations. I've been part of the system. Remember, I was also part of the Zifa board by being the Premier Soccer League chairman. If you're a good leader, we are not starting from zero, as most people are saying. No, it's not correct. Let me take you back through history a bit. When we are talking of failure or that nothing was being done, we need to define the parameters, or what are called variables. We need to put down the variables which define failure and success. Do you agree with me that Dr. Philip Chiangwa did very well as the Zifa president? As good as Felton Kamambo. Kamambo did very well. We always report that Zimbabwe, before this year, the latest edition, has been to 5 Africa Cup of Nations qualifying. When Philip Chiangwa took over from Dr. Kalbedwe, what he did is he qualified for Africa Cup of Nations. Do you call that failure or success?
I mean, for most fans, that's success.
Right.
Yeah.
Then Felton Kamambo, in his term, 2017, he qualified to 2 Africa Cup of Nations during his time. Do you call that failure or success?
Once again, success.
Right. Remember, we had something which is not being talked of.
Yeah.
We had an elephant in the room, which was the Lagos debt. Someone who cleared that, who is Felton Kamambo, cleared the Lagos debt. I was in that body. I'm talking from factual point of view. Do you call that a failure or success? Because people are no longer hearing about the Lagos debt, but it was cleared by Felton Kamambo. And I know our people, they don't know this. Is that failure or success? Someone who clears the Lagos debt, is that failure or success, in your own view?
My view would be it will be an achievement, but
you
can't look at individual milestones and just quantify everything as a success.
No. I spoke about.
Someone might argue, for example, that you know what, with the fight that we ended up seeing between Zifa and the SRC, we saw us getting banned. Could have spoiled that success.
Teach. I'm getting there.
Yeah.
I want you to follow.
Yeah,
You're asking me a question.
But I'm also here to ask the question.
Yeah. So no. Yes. Yeah. What I'm asking you is, I'm actually developing this story.
Yeah.
Because I want our people to know that I know where the problem. You need a Zifa president who is going to scratch where it itches.
Okay, and
so for you to scratch where it itches, you actually be able to see the good things which were done.
Yeah.
Because if you say everything was not correct, we've got a risk of starting all over every time we're having Zifa elections. But someone will come and say nothing is being done.
Okay,
and then they'll actually walk into the road which has been cleared, which is correct. So I want you, so the gap now which caused the banishment of our football, that is what I want to come and fill in.
So that's what I want you to tell us. That's what the people want
but
to
now
hear.
I cannot just start from there. I have to tell you a story so that you know I know what I'm talking about.
Okay,
yes. So I want you to follow this. So it's a success. That is what I was expecting from you, because this was never known. Felton Kamambo cleared the Lagos debt, which we had at Zifa, which actually made people leave those offices because people were coming to claim. And it's no longer there. Felton Kamambo, what he did also, good. We never had a problem when our national team is traveling, which used to be a song or a story. In the past, whenever the national team is traveling, we used to hear problems that there's no money, the national team cannot go. Right. So why am I telling you all this when I'm campaigning? I want you to know that I know the problems of our football. So where did you get wrong after all this success? Our football needs a person with certain skills at that top level. A person who is going to offer a bird eye view. A person who is going to make our councillors work. A person who is going to make sure that all the standing committees which are enshrined in the Constitution are going to be used, and those people are going to work, and the president should not be a signatory, should not spend his time at the Zifa offices. He should be up there, right? We failed on stakeholder management. The moment a 3-page letter, which you guys saw, came out attacking the SRC chairman and everyone else, lifting a middle finger to anyone, all will fall off. So I'm going to bring stakeholder management issue.
Okay.
That is what is very key for our football. Not all the other issues. Because qualifying is now perennial. If you fail to qualify, it's going to be a question from the time of Philip Chiangwa. They brought in the formula to qualify. And right now, even the normalization committee, Lincoln Mtasa, has done very well. He qualified. And is going to come into our history book as the biggest leader of our football who qualified for Africa Cup of Nations. So that should be mentioned by a good leader. You should be able to see the good things which were done by your predecessors, not to just say everything is wrong. Because you start now doing the correct things and waste our time instead of correcting the problems which we have in our football. That's why I was telling you all this. That's why I was saying, no, give me time. I want you to see where I'm going. I'm now unpacking to you what exactly am I going to do for football. Stakeholder management. Who are the key stakeholders? This is what you need to know. You now need to put them. You need to have a chart in your office to know key stakeholders with power and influence. Who are they? Your government, your CAF and FIFA, they fall in one bracket.
Okay.
The leader who knows that the national team belongs to the president. It's no longer yours. You are there. That's why when the national team is playing, we sing the national anthem. When the national team is playing, just yesterday something was done by the #1 fan of our football, who is the president, when the team came. Because he knows that it's his responsibility, it belongs to him. When Caps and Dynamos are playing, we don't sing the national anthem. So someone should be able to read into what does that mean. Why are we singing the national anthem? Who is the CEO of a country, of a nation? It's very important. So this is what was lacking. This is what lacked in our previous board. We thought we can do it alone with FIFA without. That's why the FIFA statutes, we don't adapt them, we adopt them, which means you then need to modify them to also speak to the cultural issues. You don't ignore them. Where you're coming from, there are cultural issues. There are issues to do social aspects. They don't need to be in the governance issues of the government. They need to be put in. So which means as a Zifa president, I don't need to be in that office because already the Zifa structure, the secretariat. Your work is to be drinking tea with Gerard Mulochwa, Minister of Sports,
Stakeholder management,
FIFA, to make sure that we've got a permanent seat in there. And I'm not reinventing the wheel. How did cricket do it after they've been banned through my own brother here, Honorable Nkuslan? He realized that we cannot keep on having this messy. Why not manage the stakeholders? It was stakeholder management. It's unconstitutional. They've got a permanent seat for SRC. When you're traveling, why not going with them? Why do you have to put a report? It has to come informally. Before you even go there, why not having someone from the ministry? For the peace, so that we all own it, it becomes for all of us. It's not just for the Zifa president. It should be for all of us. And even these councillors, it's very sad that they've been blamed for the things they don't oppose. All what they did is to, just like a marriage, is to vote someone into office. But when you vote someone into office, you don't know some of their weaknesses or some of the skills which they lack, which I'm telling you now. Because I saw it. I've been in the trenches.
Farai, I want to touch on those. I'll bring you in, Veronica. I want to touch on those councillors because questions have been raised as well about maybe their suitability. You're a businessman, you're a member of parliament, you're a club owner, you're the PSL chairman. In the past, you've talked about Philip Chiangwa, you've talked about Fulton Kamambo. There have been accusations, I think even court cases regarding Fulton Kamambo, he was cleared, but accusations that there is vote buying in this process. And regardless of what you might say about stakeholder management, managing FIFA relations, government relations, that is primarily CAF relations. That is just about making sure that the 60-odd councillors, as long as they are happy, you give them whatever it is that you give them. Is that something that you're willing to do, to give them those incentives to vote for you?
No, that's not correct. That's not correct. That's perceptions. It's an assumption. We are talking of a Zifa president, the last two Zifa presidents who qualified to 3 editions, and we are saying our football is dying. So that's not correct. The correct people were voted into office. The councillors which we have, some of them are doctors, they are professors, they are educated more than the people who is. I can tell you today, because what I was doing all along was going through the country for effect finding, for me to come up with that manifesto which you are seeing. We have got the Professor Marambanyika, we have got the doctors in women football, they are, who are in that body, who know the dictates of corporate governance. They are there. We have them. The problem is, when Felton Kamambo was voted into office, you asked about him. I didn't want to mention. They knew that he was going to give them the results in as far as qualification is concerned, because that is where I'm concerned. And he did it. So these are the skills now of stakeholder management. It's something they didn't know. It's like, yes. But some of these things, even yourself, you might date a girl for 3 years. You are dating her. She will only know about you, and you only know about her when you start staying together. Yeah. That's when she will know that and it annoys them. But they cannot see that when you're out there. We portray what we know. And they delivered on that front. But these are some of the skills which we are saying they are needed for the Zifa president, which I was now unpacking, which I was articulating. That's my vision. Okay. Right. We need to make the councillors for the first time accountable. Remember, we have got standing committees which are there. Let's make them part of the committees so that they work, so that when they are being blamed, you are blamed together. That's why you find, why I'm saying you cannot blame them. I was listing the key stakeholders. I had spoken about the first one before you interjected me. Let me tell you the list of the key stakeholders so that you understand where my vision is. We spoke of the government, CAF, FIFA, they're in the same. We are talking of stakeholder money. These are the key stakeholders. We are mapping them. These are very key. When they call you at 12 midnight, you have to wake up. It is the government. It's CAF, it's FIFA. The same way you wake up when it's FIFA. We want a letter tomorrow, want this. Key stakeholders. The other key stakeholders are the councillors and media.
You.
And media. Remember, we are talking of a public good. I'm voted to be the Zifa president on the 25th. The moment I walk to the podium, and I've got a poor relationship with these media guys, at times some of the things which you see are not real. When the Zifa president walked to the podium to deliver his inaugural speech, he lacked confidence, he was even sweating. You are dead for the next 5 years, my brother. You are not going to go anywhere. So these are key stakeholders who should be managed. The national team is traveling. Are we balanced? When we're traveling for the CAF Confederation, if you have seen, we used to have Skumbuzo Banda from Blawayo. It was a deliberate move. Both wanted that peace. Both success thrives in a calm environment. Even if you do whatever good, if the environment is not calm, success will not come. That's given. So we're talking of media. We've got our funds. So these are the key stakeholders who needs to be given attention. Who needs to be given attention? Let's give them the attention which they want, which is exactly something which was also lacking in the previous board, which caused all these problems, which we are talking of, which led to everything which we are talking of. That's one gap. Stakeholder management. My brother teach there's a need, if you want our football to grow, there's a need to decentralize our football. So if you get into that office without knowing the problems of decentralization, that our football is being run in the north and southern part of our country, we still have got talent in the eastern region, central region we have got, but Zifa offices. So we need someone who's going to come and put on offices there, provide vehicles, and also maybe pay the salaries. These are the problems which we are having of these regional offices. It's not a lot of money. You can come up with a system and say, no, we need at least three people to work in each office, which are going to be given salaries of, say, an average salary of 300. How much is that? And our football is now closer to where people are, in the regions. That's where we need. And these regional offices, some of them are not functional. That's why I'm saying you need to have media research to know exactly where. So I'm now scratching where it's itching. This is where the problem is. These Zifa AGMs, let's have them rotating like what the president is currently doing with the national events. Let's have it in Masvingo. We have covered the eastern region. During your period, let's have it central region. We are in Gweru. Let's have it in Bulawayo. Why things are happening only in Harare? There's an advert which I saw, which I'm going to share with you to answer what I'm doing. And a lot of people, because they don't know where the problem is, I didn't see anyone raising an issue about it. Did you see an advert about the under 17 girls? Yes. But someone came into office and said nothing is happening in our football. Did you see it? Did you see anything wrong with that advert? The advert, yeah, let me tell you now. The advert was saying it was inviting girls under 17s to come for trials to Harare. With their passports. Already we've got a problem. Someone is coming on basis of probability that they might be selected to get into the national team. He's coming, say, from Victoria Falls, someone who's got a talent. But if someone comes in and he knows that there are these problems and there's a need for decentralization, this fixture was known, yeah? Yes. You have your coach go to the eastern region, you give him a gap to travel, go to the central region, to the eastern and southern. I happen to be in Bulawayo speaking to the councillors on the day the ladies from the southern part of the country were coming for the trials. It was 9 p.m. The girl child, they were in that bus waiting to come here and they didn't have fuel. And I had to bail them out. I had to go and give them money for fuel for them to travel to come here, and the trials were being done at 8. So you get into a position without knowing the problems which are there, assuming that the whole system is rotten. So you create problems of this nature because you need to know decentralization of our football is going to be key. You need a Zifa vehicle in the central region, eastern, southern, because these are the guys now who take care of our regional football, so it will be very easy to manage, right? Women football, there's also another huge gap. What is happening with women football is we are not seeing them at grassroots level. We are only seeing them at secondary school level, and you expect them to pass their O levels. So these are the gaps which are known by someone who has been in the system, who know where the problems are. It's not just looking at the whole thing and paint it. Things are happening. You cannot tell me and convince me that nothing was happening. And I'm very happy she pointed out that after the ban, we came back and our team qualified using most of the local talent. Why? Because a lot of things were happening at PSO. Whatever we are going to look at, football was being played even during COVID. And even FIFA, when we were having our meetings, they even questioned how football was being played in this country when we were banned. But football was being played, and we still had our sponsor intact and in place. Chicken Inn were putting money into football. FC Platinum. So we need to give them credit and respect them for what they are doing before we start saying everything. It shows that you don't have knowledge of the problems which you have at hand. So.
Veronica, just before we'll take a short break, just before we go to the break.
Yeah, I think personally I'm someone who's for development a lot. So looking at the Warriors, they are more of a byproduct of what we have done in terms of development in football. But somewhere along the way, we lost it. There's a gap between the grassroots and the national team, the senior national team.
Absolutely.
So when you come in, we want to understand how you are going to revive
that gap.
Yes.
That is why I was going as 30 points.
Right,
Thank you so much.
We'll come back shortly and we'll look at grassroots development as we continue our Zifa election series.
Passing, Billiard knocks it. Chapangura! Rocket!
Looking for a way through, and here.
Chance here!
Join the excitement of every goal in Zimbabwe's Premier Soccer League. Log on to ZTN's catch-up service at www.ztn.co.zw. Watch your favorite football stars. Experience every key moment on the field of play with the ZTN catch-up. Nakirwane catch-up. Wona ipapo, konapo.
right, welcome back to the final segment of this special edition of The Couch as we continue our look and sit down with the different aspiring candidates for the Zifa Executive Committee elections slated for the 25th of January 2025, less than 2 months from now. And like I said before, he wears many hats, but for the purposes of this conversation, aspiring Zifa President Farai Jere. Before we went to the break, you had talked a lot about bridging the gap. You talked about stakeholder management. I mean, you were trying to convince us because I'm a journalist. But Farai had asked a pertinent question around grassroots development in terms of how it feeds into our success at national level. When you were defining success, looking at your predecessors or your potential predecessors in the likes of Fulton Kamambo and Chiamba, you mentioned qualifying for the Africa Cup of Nations, but you've said that's no longer enough. Qualifying cannot be enough. How important is it now for you? What is your plan for us to grow from grassroots to the point where we can actually think about the World Cup? We can think about going to the quarterfinals, the semi-finals of AFCON. How does grassroots fit into that vision as Farai Jere?
No, it does. It's very important. Maybe also as a point of clarity, the success is a foundation. So I didn't say it's not enough. I was saying it's good enough. I said this is very good enough, but now I just wanted to pick the gap now to our fans, to our people, to the so-called who are going to vote, right? It's very important. You need the grassroots. It is very, very crucial. But the grassroots now, that's where I was going slowly. We can only capture and have a database for the grassroots so that we avoid going for trials when we need the under-17s. If we have our football decentralized, suppose we have got structures which are working 24 hours in the central region, right? It would be then easy for us to revive the area zones. The area zones, that's where your NAFs and NASH are. That's where the schools are. That is where things should happen at the area zones. When we were growing up, we used to follow and enjoy a lot of this junior football. So that is where your schools are. That's where the talent is. It starts from talent identification, which is done by our teachers, which is now being corrected now, which also touches the part of commercialization by the current FIFA statutes, where they are saying if a child has got a clear history that they came from this school, when a player is being sold, the process should also go down into there. These things are there. And I'm going to use the 3 R's from what to answer this problem. A lot of people are saying we are going to put structures. That's unconstitutional. The structures are already there, and they come from FIFA. It's there. The structures are there. If they didn't know, the structures are there. But we now need to revive them. Because we are all agreeing that junior football was there. That's where the Peter and Love came from. Our Joe Mugabe, may he so rest in peace. They came from that system. So we now need to revive that because it's already there. But the person who knows that is there is someone who has been into football and who knows who has been in the structures. But someone else would think that they were not there. We need to re-energize some of them. So that's the second R. Some of them which are already operating, but they are lacking energy now, or they are now showing some signs of wanting to die. We need to reignite. It's there. And then our junior football will be there. And I'm very happy with also the commitment from the government, from the budget presentation. They're also talking about the schools competition, because they know that it was the responsibility of the Ministry of Youth during that time. Zifa Unit Cup should come back. When we get in, because with the Zifa Unit Cup, this tournament starts from those areas which are at the moment are dormant, which are assumed to be dead, from the area zones, coming up and having all those teams until we get to the finals of that tournament. That's why I find Zifa Cup, it was jointly funded by the Zifa and also the government had interest, because our interest was one, to make sure that our junior football is kept alive, is there. So this is what we are going to do. We are going to use the 3 R's with the board. We sit down and we say, no, where do we need to re-energize? Where do we need to revive? Both these structures are there. We used to also have the parliament for junior football. We need to revive it. It's no longer there. So all those things are there, and we know they are there. They are in the structures. The structure is there. But what is not there is the right people in those structures, is to fill in people in those gaps. So you need to have a knowledge and know that these things are there. These are the things which inspired me. Because you hear people talking, and they will actually be throwing their darts into the dark to say it's going to have football, repo, nothing is happening, hakuna structures. It's not correct. Even for a sole trader, structure is there. That is the sole trader, is the structure. So let's not talk of things which you don't know. The structures are there. But we need to reignite them, we need to revive them, we need to revamp them, we need to reignite them to make sure that our football comes back. So we need someone who is going to scratch where it itches, because we don't need to spend time trying to think on what can we do for our football to qualify. Because after the 2004, the first qualification, then the next was 2006. Can you look at that gap? We only say things, this and that, things, but now look, it's now a perennial thing. We know that when we get into that tournament, we just have to qualify. So which means something good was being done. So our junior football will then come in and feed in. If you look at the products which we have right now at the moment, internationally, the crops which we have at the national team, it's very clear you need to give credit to that. They are coming out of those systems. They were born in Europe. Their parents left this country long back, and their kids are now coming because they cannot all play for England. They cannot all play for Spain. They are now coming to play for our country. So this is now going to answer your question, your second question, which you're asking me about qualifying to the group stage. With the current crop of players and correct database, we need to keep a database of all the players we have in the diaspora. And look at how many are coming out. We say we have got some playing for Liverpool. It's a matter of making them. It's a matter of attracting them to come back and play for their country. And our football will never be the same again. The good thing which was also done by the normalization committee is to bring in that German coach. I think if you look at the time of Reinhard Fabisch. Yes, Michael Nices. Yep. Yes, when I was invited by Charles, I endorsed him. I think our football here, we are German type, because even during the time of Fabisch, that's when people were saying, no, look at the brand of football. I endorsed him to say, no, this guy, I think is going to turn around our football. And with a match to go, we qualified. These are the youngsters who were born there, who came up through these junior police systems, who rose up through that. And they had the correct skills, correct training, and our country is now at a different position, qualifying with a match to go.
Right. I want to come back, Erin. Obviously, have you submitted your nomination yet for the presidency?
It's ready. I'm submitting tomorrow.
So I mean,
no, I'm submitting on tomorrow is Friday. Thursday. No, I'm submitting on Friday.
I asked that to say, obviously, one of the things that came out in terms of that election roadmap was that you can't hold another position in football if you're going to be running for the president. So does that mean you're going to relinquish your position as the club chairman club president at Caps United, or even the PSL chairman?
The reason why I'm sitting here is I'm now aiming for the higher position. So there's no way I can be a PSO chairman and a Zifa president at the same time. That doesn't work. And because the statutes are very clear, the PSO chairman sits in that body as a board member. So, okay. So it's very clear that I'm not going to come back to be re-elected as the PSO chairman. Maybe in another life, if I fail to qualify this time around and I want to come back, I still have got a room to have my second term there. Yeah. Maybe in another life, but not now. I'm now focused to what I know, to what I think is going to turn out to change our football. Infrastructure development, like what we are trying to do at PSL. We cannot keep on being at number 53 Livingstone. Go to other countries and see their FAs. Just go to South Africa for a benchmark. You will see that office is a joke. We need someone who looks beyond that office, someone who is a believer of infrastructure development, like what I believe in. That's why we've got that property for PSL.
And you talked about, you defined success for the past presidents as AFCON. By the time we get to the next AFCON 2025 in Morocco, if you are elected, you'll be the Zifa president. how would you define success at that particular level? What would be success for you? Because we've already qualified, we've done this. So how would you define success for Farai Jere as the Zifa president?
No, my success is very clear, like what we did in 2017, is to get to the group stage of that tournament. But this is where we have been going, and we have been knocked out at that stage. And why not? If we can go to Cameroon and lose a match by 2-1 margin, and some are arguing that we equalized that match. So why not? If we can go out there to such venues which used to be fortresses and come up with such a result, why can't you go to the next round of that tournament? So that should be the focus now. To say, as we go there, we need peace, we need calmness in the camp. We don't want any despondencies. Our focus is to go there and go to the next stage, which is the group stage. And it's something that is achievable. It's attainable.
Is that success for you? Make it to the group stage. If Farai Jere is elected Zifa president, he takes us to the group stage. Would you, like he's called Felton, like he's called Philip, would you say he was a success?
And I think just like he highlighted before that fans are one of the stakeholders in football. I think for fans that would be success. From a fan perspective, that would be success. But then I want to take you back. We have a structure like the Zifa village. It has been lying idle. It's in a good location. It's such a good structure, but it has been lying idle. So when you come in as president, I want to find out that do you have any plans with that Zifa village? Because I'm sure we're actually pumping out more with having the national team staying in a hotel when they come for camp, instead of maybe trying to refurbish our Zifa village and having them hold their camps there. So do you have any plan around that?
Thank you so much, Veronica. Those are the priority areas. You are talking to an aspiring Zifa president who believes in infrastructure development. We cannot start talking of developing new infrastructure without revamping the Zifa village. And it is also my dream. Now the Parliament of Zimbabwe is there. That place is becoming a world-class place, and there's new city coming there. Why not having the Zifa offices there, so that we will now be inspired to make sure that we revive the place? It's also another proposal. It's also something which now the board we have to think of. Because we sit down as a board, you don't do your own things. Modern management is what we agree as a board, and that's what you push through, and you'll be playing the bird eye view road to then see what is happening and then push whatever needs to be done as a board, setting the targets.
Okay. And then maybe also in terms of women football, there's been a lot of issues going on around women football, to an extent that even the national team is not given enough as much priority as the Warriors themselves. Look at the Mighty Warriors. They went to Rio for the Olympics in 2016, but look at them now. They don't have anything to talk about because they were never appreciated enough for that achievement. So when you come in as the president, obviously you're also looking at votes coming in from the women's side. What are you promising them?
You know, these are the things which you need to push. We need to move with the global trends, right? Women empowerment, it's a talk. Wherever we are going, whatever platform you go, the issues of gender, they are very central. They are very topical. So even when I become the Zifa president, those are the issues we should be looking at. We want to make sure that the girl child is prioritized. They are taken care of. We don't want them to be in the bus by 9 p.m. not knowing the time they are going to leave to go where they are going, traveling 400-500 kilometers. Those things should be a thing of the past. We need to respect a girl child. It's very, very important. So these are the issues which we are going to look at. That will come from also looking at our statutes. This has gone through, but before we even rest or relax, we need to look at also having women representation to be almost equal numbers with men up there at board level. But we have already taken a good step by having the second vice president of the Zifa being a woman. So we'll now be pushing the gender issues and whatever.
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to cut you off. Our time has run out, but we will continue having these conversations. I think as we speak to different candidates, we will come back and engage with you as we hear more things coming out, as you launch your manifesto officially, as you tell us all the different things that you'll be doing. And I'm sure we want to have you back and maybe have a debate with some of the candidates to try and see if we can find the right candidate to lead our football. But thank you very much for taking time to share your vision with us, and hopefully you've convinced not only the owners of the game but primarily the guys who are going to be voting come 25 January that you are the right man to lead Zifa going forward. All right, so that is a wrap of this special edition of The Couch. We were looking at the Zifa elections going on the 25th of January.